The Untouchables was an American crime drama that was produced by Desilu Productions. It ran from 1959 to 1963 on ABC, and it was based on a book by Eliot Ness and Oscar Fraley. It's a fictionalized version of Ness's experiences during Prohibition as an agent fighting crime in Chicago. Because of his courage, his moral character, and because of his incorruptibility, his group was nicknamed the Untouchables. This hard-hitting action drama starred Robert Stack in the lead role. Toting a Tommy gun and sporting a really sharp suit, Robert Stack and his crew were true action heroes. He and his boys took down bootleggers, bookies, and crooks all week long, week after week. Now, the series turned out to be a major hit for Desilu Productions, although it caused some major headaches for the executive producer, Desi Arnaz, who was the star of I Love Lucy and the head of the studio. The behind-the-scenes stories could fit right into one of its scripts. They in themselves turn into a fascinating tale. Now, Desilu Studios and Desi Arnaz hoped to book Van Johnson in the lead role instead of Robert Stack. Johnson was a former A-list movie star of the 1940s, and he wanted twice the salary that most actors would get for this role. So Desilu decided to look elsewhere for actors. They actually looked at Fred McMurray from My Three Sons and also Jack Lord from Hawaii Five-0. Eventually, Robert Stack was offered the role, and he accepted without hesitation. The pilot for the series was actually a two-part installment of Westinghouse Desilu Playhouse in April of 1959. It was based largely on the memoirs of Eliot Ness and his quest to take down Al Capone. The show was later picked up that year as a series, and the cast was replaced that surrounded Robert Stack. Now, when it comes to really big-name guest stars, you have to say The Untouchables is, well, really untouchable. There was Robert Redford, Peter Falk, Leonard Nimoy. Other TV headliners included Telly Savalas, Barbara Stanwyck, Elizabeth Montgomery, Jack Klugman, Martin Landau, and there were also movie stars that showed up, like James Caan, Charles Bronson, and Robert Duvall. Not everyone liked the pilot, as some people felt like it vilified Italian Americans and featured a cast of actors that laid on thick, stereotypical accents. A group of Italian American congressmen, the FCC head Newton Minow, and Cardinal Francis Spellman of New York all criticized the show. One of the most well-known people that criticized it was Frank Sinatra. For Sinatra, it was a little more close to home, as the singer actually had his production office in the Desilu lot. It's actually said that mafia boss Sam Giancana ordered Sinatra to pay a visit to Desi Arnaz. The two Hollywood icons argued about the show. It's said that Desi insulted Sinatra by calling him a television failure. Sinatra then immediately moved his offices to Samuel Goldwyn Studios. The Untouchables did kind of retool their programming, and they added an Italian-American hero and diversified the bad guys. There were actually picket lines in New York for a while that were encouraging people to publicly boycott Liggett and Myers Tobacco Company, the makers of Chesterfield cigarettes. They were a big sponsor of the Untouchables. After the retooling of the plot lines, the controversy died down and was almost forgotten. J. Edgar Hoover, he wasn't a fan of the show either. He was irritated that the show made it seem like they had solved some crimes that actually the FBI had been responsible for cracking. Al Capone's son had personal ties to Desi Arnaz. Albert Sonny Capone Jr. was 1 year younger than Desi Arnaz. They both attended Patrick Catholic School in Miami Beach, Florida. Some research tells that the two were great friends as teenagers. The Untouchables was a landmark television series that spawned numerous imitators over the decades. Shows like SWAT, the FBI, Crime Story, and the original Hawaii Five-0 come to mind immediately. The Untouchables is one of two series from the year 1959, the other being The Detectives. Together, they were credited with a concept depicting a group of crime fighters. Previously, most TV crime dramas had followed one of two formats, either a duo composed of a police officer or a detective and his trusty sidekick, or a lone wolf private eye or police detective. A group of crime fighters was a new approach. J. Edgar Hoover may have huffed and puffed about the TV series, but the comic book adaptation did a good job at promoting the FBI. The Dell Comics series featured pages that listed the requirements for their G-men. They said he must be between 25 and 40 years old. He must have 20/20 vision and a law degree and be at least 5'7" in height. Now, Warner Brothers actually produced a spoof in the cartoons called The Unmentionables in 1963 as part of its Merry Melodies series. In the cartoon, Bugs Bunny played Elegant Mess instead of Eliot Ness, a crime fighter taking on Rocky and Muggsy with a carrot. The Untouchables is one of those shows that has lasted through time. The hard-nosed approach, the sharp dialogue, the unbelievably crisp pace of the show. This series is one of the few that even remains fresh to this day. It's only the monochrome presentation that gives its age away. The Untouchables is one of those few golden age TV shows that deserves being called a classic. The show ended in May of 1963, but continues in syndication to this day. Thank you, Robert Stack, for your portrayal of this true action hero. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll keep chasing the classics.